man. We got Captain Tywar in the building. Yeah. So, Cap, man, let us know where you from.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. One West vetted, I break it down. Don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I finish, one West when I start. Big shine, big glow. I be gone till November, let my bitch know. I'm back by the winter, bubbling like Crisco. I need my pockets all swollen like a lymph node. Talking out the side of your neck, get you a slit throat. I stay broke, don't care if I got a million. Looking down on me, I put your brains on the ceiling. Fuck kicking down the door, we bout to demo the building. Fake cats all in these groups, I wonder who ya. Shoot ya off your pulpit, hallelujah. 4-pound gun youngin' down like it's a cougar. On my feet, combat boots, or is it Puma? Words spreading around about me, none of it rumor. All truth, very big facts, very large caliber on very small gaps. Compact pistols, ladders, and all that. About to throw the switch in the Nina for rapid fire. Got the 5.7 equipped with the magnifier. Boom shakalaka, equipped with the rim rocker. We ain't really got beef, yeah, Ramak with a bin shot ya. The best rhymer since Pac and Big Papa. Big llama, big juice, I'm Big Jamba. Quarter tank of gas, I ride like a big timer. No informer, no sweat, not inside of my conglomerate. Wreck like King Konga. No Asian pun me, no chink in armor. Remain calm through our pain that bring drama. Stay focused on things that bring commas. Took all pressure, applied and made diamonds. Stayed true, kept shit pure, my name honored. Paid all dues and debts and kept promise. Make sure you show respect, pay homage that I'm one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I said I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West when I start. I'm the hottest on the market, don't make me start it. I'ma pull up in a Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I remember days was trapping out the apartment. Now one West about put me up in a starship. About to fly to friendly skies in this bitch. Spit the truth on the corners, I lie a little bit. I'm a stand-up nigga, I die before I switch. Down, no we up, I'm cool with who I with. I'ma be war the king and stay dangerous. Hold down the biz and fam, remain blameless. Now rappers drippy with styles we made famous. First with studs and spikes in any city. Designers charge a stack for shit that can't fit me. Had friends on my coattail way before Jimmy. Funny how the general ain't even see a penny. Better show respect, get smoked like a chimney. Keep my name out your mouth, don't even think it. Send a real Smith at y'all, no Jada Pinkett. Both ball heads, my grain a $1.50. Lost my man to the game, that pain that stuck with me. Had to find a cheat code to the street though, cause them niggas getting fouled, shoot you like a free throw. Keep spitting acid like a Mino, and the nigga be the nicest with a mean flow. Try to ride my wave, you gon' need a speedboat. I'm hot like 100 degrees in a peacoat. Scarf in the sweater, I embark every letter. It's UPK, not a part, but together. Homie, I've been one West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West when I start. One West bred, one West vetted, one West pumping through my blood, don't forget it. One West in my brain, one West in my heart, one West when I'm finished, one West.
All right. Shalom, Israel. Clap it up. You live with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Priest and Captain Talking will hold down the class live from Memphis, Tennessee. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have classes here in Memphis from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since 1969, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge has been teaching so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 1025, there is nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who they are, where they come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. So what we like to do with these classes is give brothers and sisters an opportunity to go into this book called the Bible to gain the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that the Most High has placed inside of this book so that we can come back to being the people that God called us to be and to reclaim our righteous place on the earth as kings, priests, princesses, and daughters of Zion. That being said, I'd like to start the class off with questions. If any brothers and sisters have questions in the class, raise your hand. If any brothers and sisters online have questions, all you do is type them in. And once we get through with the questions, then we'll go ahead into tonight's topic, all right? So, Barack Amar, you had a question? Come on with it.
Let's start Genesis chapter 49, verse 6.
All right, Genesis chapter 49, verse 6. You want to read it or you want to ask your question first?
I'll read it first, sir.
All right.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 6. O my soul, come not thou into their secret. Unto their assembly mine honor be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall.
Okay.
My question is, unto their assembly mine honor be not thou united. I don't understand what's the mine honor.
Okay, you got to read the whole thing, right? So, I'm going to start at verse 5, all right? Simeon and Levi are brothers. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations, right? Simeon and Levi are brothers, and where they live, there's instruments of cruelty there, meaning plots and schemes to do cruelty is where you find Simeon and Levi. They dwell among instruments of cruelty, right? It's talking about violence and harm. Verse 6, O my soul, come not thou into their secret. What is that saying?
O my soul, come not. Is the things that they did in secret?
Yes, he's saying, oh my soul is like, I don't, okay. Oh my soul is like he's feeling bad for himself, right? Oh my soul is like, Lord be with me, right? God forgive me. It's that type of phrase, and that it's like I can't handle this.
Okay.
Oh my soul, come not thou into come not thou into their secrets. He doesn't want to understand. He doesn't want to know the dirt they did.
Gotcha.
He doesn't want to know their secret, right?
Come on, sir.
Read on. Unto their assembly, mine honor, be not thou united. He doesn't want his honor to be united with the secret of them coming together to plot and scheme. He's not saying Simeon and Levi don't be united. He's saying I don't want my honor to be among them coming together to do evil. He wants to separate himself from their secret and their assembly to do evil.
Okay, come on.
You understand?
So,
Go ahead.
What is the mine honor? Is he saying, okay, his honor, is that like my, like, what you say, like my strength,
my reputation. His honor is his reputation.
Right.
He does not want his reputation to be linked with the secret of their assembly. He's saying, "Oh my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly, mine honor be not thou united." You understand? So, "Oh my soul" and mine honor is like the same thing. Right. Oh my soul, come not thou into their secret. Gotcha. In my honor, be not thou united in their assembly. It's like I don't want my honor to be united with the dirt they did when they came together.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
The next line explains why. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. What does dig down a wall mean?
Tore it down?
No. They dug a hole, dug a pit. To dig down a wall is like digging down a wall is like okay. A wall is something you put up
Right.
to block something, right?
Right.
So imagine putting a wall underground. Imagine digging down a wall. It's just like digging a big hole.
Okay.
So like, just to make it simple, you dig a big hole. You dig a big hole. You looking down at the hole. What does it look like? If you dig a good hole, you want somebody to get stuck in. It looked like there's walls.
Right.
But they dug down a hole so big, it's like they stuck in it.
Mm.
They dig down a wall. You understand?
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor. In their honor, for in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. What was the wall they dig down? When they went and killed those heathens, they gave the name of Joseph or name of Israel a bad name among them heathens.
Mm-hmm.
They had to flee that land and leave because now they would be known as men who made deals and then went back on it.
Gotcha. Come.
You understand? Do you know the story of Simeon and Levi?
Come.
Their sister had got raped, and Israel made a deal with those heathens that if y'all get circumcised, y'all could become part of us.
Right.
Simeon and Levi wasn't having none of that shit. Simeon and Levi was like, these niggas are never gonna be accepted among us. They ripped our sister. So when those men circumcised themselves while they was hurt and trying to recover from the circumcision, Simeon and Levi attacked them and killed them.
Right.
You understand?
Come.
So Israel was mad because I made a deal with these people. I tried to squash the situation, and y'all just made it worse because now it looks like I'm a liar. Like I make a deal and don't keep it.
Right.
He was mad at them for what they did. In his mind, it was evil. In their minds, it was justice.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so he's saying this to say that evil thing they did in coming together, I don't want to have no parts of it.
Right.
I don't want my honor to be associated with the evil that they did.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Come on, sir.
You good on that?
Perfect on that.
All right.
But it also led me to another question with that same thing.
Come on with it.
So, if Jacob had the heathens to circumcise themselves, would they become servants to this family? Because I mean, Abraham, right? He was told to take all his servants, circumcise them, etc., and everybody that was around him.
No, so
are they becoming a part of the covenant? I mean, what are they?
Shalakia, that was the deal that Israel was attempting to make. He was attempting to make a deal to let these heathens be considered family. Because they had raped one of his daughters, rather than go to war and kill them, he said, you know what? We can make this right if you all suffer for what you did.
Right.
And the suffering was for them to circumcise themselves.
Gotcha.
The suffering was for them to hurt in their imagine a grown man cutting off his foreskin. That's payment for this rape. They was willing to do it, but those brothers was not having none of that shit.
Right.
These niggas raped our sister. We want blood. They waited till them cats cut the skin off their rods and then killed them when they was weak.
Come on.
You understand? But yes, Israel was attempting to make them a part of the family.
Gotcha.
You understand?
Would the Lord have?
What we know is that the Lord had Simeon and Levi kill them niggas.
Yeah, righteous. Yeah, true.
You understand?
True.
Don't think that just because something horrible happens to somebody that the Lord ain't with it. The Lord was okay. Simeon and Levi had a righteous anger.
Right, yeah.
For the blood of their sister.
Right.
That's why they killed them heathens.
Got it.
You understand? That is why the example of what happened to, I believe her name was Dinah.
Right.
Who got raped by those heathens, and Simeon and Levi killing them. That is the reason why the law says if a woman is raped, it is the same as if she was killed. Like the law that the Lord gave to Moses was based on the history of our people. The history of our people, the same way that there's a law against if you don't put seed into your brother's woman, then you should be put to death. It's that came from the brother who didn't put one of Judah's sons, whose brother died, and he let the seed spill on the ground, and the Lord killed him. That was put into the law later because of what happened then.
Right.
Like the law made examples. The law was built off of examples of things that happened in our history.
Gotcha.
You understand? So that's why this thing that happened with Simeon and Levi's sister is why we have the law concerning if a woman is raped.
Right.
You understand?
Come on.
All right. What else you got?
Do we follow any of the oral traditions?
What does that mean?
I've always heard it since I've been in the truth, but I've never. I mean, of course, they call them oral traditions, so I wouldn't see it. But I've heard people saying things that are not in the scriptures that I've seen in the scriptures, but they're saying that it's a part of the older traditions that was still passed down to the Israelites. I just know they call them oral traditions.
All right, where do we find those oral traditions? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay, that's a good question. So your question is, do we follow the oral traditions of the Israelites? And my question to you was, where do you find the oral traditions of the Israelites? And you said you don't know. All right. Okay. The answer is hell no. We don't follow the oral traditions, right? But I'm gonna give you a lesson on the lie that has been taught concerning the oral traditions. All right. Go ahead. Do you think? This is the Zondervan Bible Dictionary, the Compact Bible Dictionary. This is page 576. All right. And this is the definition of the word Talmud. All right. Talmud is a collection of Jewish writings of the early Christian centuries. There is a Palestinian Talmud and a later, more authoritative, much longer Babylonian Talmud. You understand?
Right.
The Talmud is what has been rumored to be the oral traditions of the Israelites. The Talmud is what the so-called Jewish man uses as the basis of their belief and their understanding in God. You understand?
Right.
The Talmud is where the Jewish man receives the instructions to put a baby's penis in their mouth after the baby is circumcised. The Talmud is the place where the Jewish man receives the instructions that homosexuality and lesbianism and LGBTQ lifestyles are accepted by God. The Talmud is where the Babylonians get the tradition of, all of the heinous, evil, horrible things that are done in the name of Judaism. They come out of the Talmud. The Talmud has nothing to do with Israel. It has nothing to do with the Bible or the laws of God. The evidence of it, right? The basis of the Talmud is these are the oral traditions of the priests that were in Babylon. Now, what do we know about Israel during the time when Israel was in Babylon?
I know we were completely destroyed. They took out of our records, didn't it?
When Israel went into captivity in Babylon, the Babylonians, well, let me get the scripture for you. Let me show you who the Babylonians took into captivity into Babylon, all right?
Was that during the time of Jeremiah?
That was during the time of Jeremiah, but also the time of Daniel, all right?
Right.
Hold on. No. All right, bear with me. Hold on. Okay, let's see something. Let's get Second Chronicles chapter 36. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Oh no, that's not it. Bear with me, y'all. Hold on. Dang. Hold on. It's 2 Kings chapter 24.
24 comes
Yeah.
around 13.
Which you carried out thence all the treasures come. Come. That's where it is. 2 Kings chapter 24. We can start at verse 11. All right. Well, let's say 2 Kings 24. Yeah, let's start at verse 11. It says, and Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against the city, and his servants did besiege it. And Jehoiachin, the king of Judah, went out to the king of Babylon, he and his mother, and his servants, and his princes, and his officers. And the king of Babylon took him in the 8th year of his reign. And he carried out thence all the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king's house, and cut in pieces all the vessels of gold which Solomon, king of Israel, had made in the temple of the Lord, as the Lord had said. And he carried away all Jerusalem, and all the princes, and all the mighty men of valor, even 10,000 captives, and all the craftsmen and smiths. None remained save the poorest sort of the people of the land. And he carried away Jehoiachin to Babylon, and the king's mother, and the king's wives, and his officers, and the mighty of the land. Those carried he into captivity from Jerusalem to Babylon. And all the men of might, even 7,000, and craftsmen and smiths 1,000, all that were strong and apt of war, even them the king of Babylon brought captive to Babylon. And the king of Babylon made Mattaniah, his father's brother, king instead, and changed his name to Zedekiah. Everybody understand? Then one more time. Zedekiah was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah, until he had cast them out from his presence, that Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. Everybody understands? So the Lord sent Jehoiachin and all of the men of Israel who were skilled and craftsmen and mighty men of war, fighting age, all of them went into captivity in Babylon. You understand?
Right.
Why would the Babylonian king take all of these craftsmen, skilled men, and all of the people of the king's house to Babylon?
To make them work in his place.
Okay. Work and do what?
Make what they make for him.
And what would that do for Babylon?
Make it greater.
What does that mean for the people who go to Babylon?
I mean, they slaves.
Okay. Say you live in a place.
Right.
That you're free, but you're poor.
Right. Okay.
You go to a bigger place. You maybe not be free, but you're living good. You still got the same job you had in that smaller place.
Right.
You still making the same stuff you was making in that smaller place, but now you're part of a bigger empire. Now you're part of a grander kingdom. What might somebody do in that situation?
If they like it or don't like it?
Either one. What might somebody do? Give me both. What if they like it? What if they go to this new place where they've been taken captive and they treated well? Beautiful women here.
Right.
I get to believe what I want to believe and worship what I want to worship. I get paid more money doing the same job I was doing. This ain't such a bad deal. What might I do?
You become assimilated.
I assimilate. I become Babylonian.
Right.
I'm a member of the Babylonian Empire now.
Right.
All that Israelite and Judah shit is done for. I live in Babylon now. Right. You in Babylon, you do as the Babylonians do. Right? He left behind the poor people, the people with no skills, right. People who couldn't work, didn't have education. What does that sound like?
The projects.
Sound like the projects.
Yeah.
Who left the projects?
All the rich black people.
All the educated, affluent, skillful people, right?
Right.
What did the assimilation, what did we call that? When black people assimilated into white culture, what is the term historically we use for that?
No, I was going to say a sellout. I'm not sure.
Desegregation.
Oh, desegregation. Okay.
The Babylonians took all the smart, educated, royalty, all of the affluent, high-level people to Babylon to make Babylon greater. And they left behind all the poor, stupid niggas that didn't know no better so that they could stay in the ghetto.
Right.
You understand? Now, what happened when we got to Babylon is a lot of people liked it in Babylon, wanted to stay in Babylon. You understand? They built houses and lived good and dwelt beautifully because they had assimilated into the culture. The whole book of Jeremiah is a battle that Jeremiah is having with niggas that telling the people to stay in Babylon. That this is the land of our rest. And Jeremiah is telling them, no, the Lord brought us here to suffer a captivity, and we're going to get out of here. You understand? Come on with it.
So had it been like generations past?
No. The niggas that went to Babylon got there, and after a while, they was like, we're going to find peace here. The Lord is with us. We're going to be all right here. We're going to be okay. Jeremiah came out against them like, you telling the people it's going to be peace. It ain't going to be no peace.
Right.
It's going to be hell here. It's going to be suffering here. The Lord did not bring us here to rest and to live deliciously. You understand?
Right.
That was the battle. The priest, the Talmud, right? The Jewish man says the Talmud is the oral tradition from the priests that were in Babylon. But the priests in Babylon were sellouts.
Right.
The priests in Babylon were doing what the Babylonians did.
Right.
They were teaching it's okay to live according to the Babylonian customs, which is why the Jewish man in his expression of Judaism is not at all related to the Bible.
Right, definitely.
It's why the Jewish man over there in Israel right now is more LGBTQ going on than anything else. They eating pork and shrimp. They getting high. They are a blight on the Arab way of life.
Right, definitely.
Them Israelis over there, those Arabs look at them and say, these are disgusting, filthy people. They promote everything that's evil and goes against God. And they're right.
Right.
How is that? Because they believe in the oral tradition. They don't believe in the written law. So anybody that's trying to push an oral tradition on you, that is somebody who is trying to push Judaism.
Got you.
They're trying to push the religion of the Jewish man, which is not at all related to the Bible. Come on with it.
So when did the so-called Jewish man kind of fill in our spot?
Okay, he never has. The reality about the Jewish man is that he's never filled in our spot. From the days of them being Khazars, living out there in Georgia and Russia and in the like the Baltic areas, they never assumed our identity. They assumed our identity during the days of the Renaissance period. is when white Jews started to take the place of black Jews.
So they just,
come on with it.
So they just like sprinkle into Israel little by little.
Okay, no, okay.
That's what I'm trying to figure
Sprinkling
out.
into Israel and them assuming the identity of Jews is two different times.
Gotcha. Okay.
The sprinkling into Israel was way later. That didn't happen till the 1940s. Them getting put in that land in the Middle East just happened after World War II.
48, right.
It just happened after World War II.
Gotcha.
Prior to that, those people were living in Poland, in Germany, in Russia, right, in those areas. Again, that same area where the Khazars used to be.
Okay. Cool.
Right? They've been identifying as Jews, but living in that Eastern Europe area since the 1400s. When the Khazars were squished between the Muslims and the Romans. That is when they converted to Judaism. They created the religion of Judaism. That happened in the 1300s, 1400s, right? Now, there were black Jews all throughout Europe during the days of the Dark Ages. Black nobility that identified as Jewish, identified as Jews, had the last names of Naphtali and Gad and Benjamin. They had those names. Those people lost their power and their identity during the Renaissance period when Queen Isabella in Spain and Prince Ferdinand was what do they call it? The Spanish Inquisition.
Right.
During the Spanish Inquisition, they were kicking out and killing black Jews in Spain and in Portugal. A lot of them, they were shipping them, they was making them run into North Africa, going across the Straits of Gibraltar out of Portugal and into North Africa. And they expelled a lot of the Jews from Europe at that time.
Right.
The Jews that were expelled from Europe during the days of Queen Isabella, during the Spanish Inquisition, those were all black Jews. Being inquisitioned by white nobility, white people in power now, and they were taking their wealth and taking their identities. So the Spanish Inquisition, like ICE today. Mm-hmm. If you were black in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition and you had money and had some wealth, they would grab you. Gotcha. Bring you before the Pope and them people, like the bishops and the cardinals of the Roman Empire, the Roman Catholic Church, and they would question you about your belief in God. And if you did not say that you believed that Jesus was the Son of God and Mary was his perfect mother and the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost was the whatever, they would kill you. So a lot of people was brought in the Spanish Inquisition. It was a shakedown. Right. You want to keep your life? Denounce your religion, denounce your Jewishness, denounce your belief in the Torah and in the God of the Old Testament, right, and say that you accept Jesus Christ into your heart as your personal Lord and Savior. Niggas that would not do that, they were killed. Niggas that were smart fled the country and left so that they wouldn't have to make a choice. Some of them gave up their wealth and their identity and just became Christians. But during that period in the 1400s, they expelled a lot of black Jews, was kicked out of Spain, kicked out of Portugal, and they went into North Africa. The people that left and went to Africa, they left behind wealth. They left behind titles and houses and land and all types of shit. White people just assume their identity. So let's say I'm Sakawar Bungad. I live in Spain in 1475. And I got, 3 houses and 20 acres of land. But here come the Spanish Inquisition rounding up all the black Jews and taking their wealth and killing them, making them turn to Christianity. So I don't want to die. I leave. I leave Spain. Go in the north. I go to Libya in North Africa. I go into one of them other countries, right? Algeria. I go to Algeria. Well, I left behind all my wealth and my land and my titles and all of my paperwork and shit. Right. So now the white royalty says, y'all can't find Sakawar Bungad? Okay, no problem. Hey, you're Sakawar Bungad now. This is your land. These are your titles. You own it now. That's how, if you go and do some history research, Jewish people financed the slave trade.
Right, definitely.
People say that all the time, right? Jews financed the slave trade. They weren't black Jews financing the slave trade. They were the they were the people who had just taken the identity of the Jews, now using their names and titles and influence to finance the slave trade. You understand? And a lot of those Jews that fled into Africa were the ones being rounded up and sold to America. Come on with it.
So they just ran us all over this goddamn planet pretty much.
Yes. See, but that's what I'm saying. All right. And let's go into the topic of tonight's class, right? The blameless criminal. There's a lot of history that just doesn't go spoken of.
Yeah.
Because to speak of it would reveal the white man to be the criminal that he is. What I just laid out to you, right? What happened during the Spanish Inquisition, everybody knows about the Spanish Inquisition.
Right.
We all were taught about the Spanish Inquisition in school.
Right.
What they don't tell you about is the huge transfer of wealth that occurred at that time. What they don't tell you about is the Roman Catholic Church and the Spanish nobility robbing people of their entire livelihoods, their entire heritages, their inheritance, their money in the bank, all of that stuff transferred hands during that time. And the white man frames history in a way that he gets you to look at what he wants you to look at, but doesn't get you to look at what's important. And the Spanish Inquisition is such a perfect example of that. We read about the Renaissance period, right?
Right.
Does anybody even ever ask why they called it the Renaissance? Let's get a dictionary definition of the word Renaissance. All right, that's what we're gonna start this class on tonight. We're gonna start talking about the Renaissance. All right. We're gonna start off talking about the Renaissance. Let's go ahead and get the definition of the word Renaissance. Go ahead.
Can we read it?
Yeah, what you got?
Come on, let's go. It says the revival of art and literature under the influence of classical models in the 14th to 16th centuries.
Now, what the fuck does that even mean?
Right.
Right? They don't want to tell you.
Yeah.
This is the definition of just the word Renaissance as a noun. All right. It says rebirth or revival. But what was revived during the Renaissance period? What was reborn during the Renaissance period? And why was there a need for a revival? Why was there a need for a rebirth during the Renaissance? The revival was the resurrection of white power in Europe. The resurrection of white nobility in Europe. The rebirth of the white power structure. You understand? It rose up during the Renaissance period. But what was there before the rebirth? What was there before the revival? A bunch of nigga shit. Excuse my language. The Dark Ages. And what was going on during the Dark Ages was you had Hebrews, you had Muslims, you had Africans, all of those people mixing and mingling and expanding their influence in Europe. During the Dark Ages, now, there's some muddiness that comes with these different time periods, right?
Right.
Because the days of the bubonic plague was not the days of black rulership in Europe.
Okay.
The bubonic plague and all of that was taking place in the days when the Europeans were not washing, were not bathing, right? Where they were not cleaning themselves and they didn't have any hygiene and didn't have any, of those standards to themselves. After the time period of the bubonic plague is when the influence of the Hebrews and the Muslims started to come into Europe, and it started to make Europe a cleaner place. Started to transform Europe and make it into a better place. You understand? Where they had math and science and they building cathedrals and all of these great architectural monuments. That happened during the time when there was wisdom and knowledge and understanding of health standards and stuff like that in Europe. So there's three periods that take place. There's three periods of European power. All right. All right. These are the three periods of European power in in three periods of power of rulership in Europe, right? You have the days of the barbarian tribes in Europe. That's during the days of the Roman Empire, right? Those barbarian tribes in Europe were predominantly white. Right? So these are the days of the Berbers. These are the days of who my man that Genghis Khan and them. Genghis Khan and elephants in the mountains in Africa, conquering all up in Europe. The days of the barbarians fighting against the Romans, that's white European rulership.
Right.
Right? After that, there's a spread of the Roman Catholicism, right?
Right.
All through Europe. That's predominantly white. Then there's the rise of Mohammedanism or Islam.
Okay.
And the spread of Islam out of the Arabian Peninsula all across North Africa, all into Europe.
Okay.
That is an expansion of dark-skinned people coming into Europe and taking over power, bringing in influence of science and math and understanding. That is when the Dark Ages began to spread and take over into Europe. So then there's a rise of black nobility, black power, black influence. And I say black, not just black how we black,
right,
but just dark-skinned people.
Right.
Dark-skinned people pushed into Europe, transformed it, cleaned it up a little bit, and there's a period of relative peace in Europe among when the dark races are in power.
Right.
Then the Renaissance period is when there's a secondary uprising of white rulership in Europe, and that secondary uprising of rulership in Europe of white people is what is known as the Renaissance period.
Gotcha.
So right after, so there's the Renaissance period in the 1400s, right? 1400s, 1500s, 1600s is the Renaissance period. The 1600s into the 1700s is the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade. Once the white people get solidified in their power structures in Europe, that is when they set their sights on North Africa for slavery. And they set their sights, at the same time they set their sights on North Africa for slavery, they also were expanding over here into the quote-unquote New World.
Right.
You understand?
Right. Yeah.
So you get your, the start of the colony, the rising of the colonies here in North America starts in the 1600s.
Right.
But that whole period of, that transitional period of the erasing of the black nobility and the black wealth in Europe and the enslavement of people of West Africa, all that came right back to back. Pushed all the black people out of Europe, started to colonize North America. Once they dealt with unaliving a lot of the natives, then they started coming over to Africa and getting the people who they didn't want to be in power over there, putting them in slavery and bringing them over here. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Would you gonna say something?
If I could,
Come on,
because the way that they taught it to us in school, like it was heavy what you're saying, like because we were saying like the revival.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it get kind of foggy, right? Because I mean, really, we're even taught that they just came straight out of the mountains and then Renaissance period. So it is kind of foggy between, and the way it's taught to us in school is the Dark Ages. They kind of like skim over that part. They say a little bit about it, and they make it seem like we was living in mud and like everything was real bad. And then when the Renaissance came, that's when they started having the what's the little thing that you play with the
harp,
the harps and knights and all that kind of stuff, and art and culture and the beauty started to come out then. But they don't really talk about the Dark Ages. They make it seem like we was living literally in dark.
See what happens. See, here's why the history is reversed from what they teach. The Dark Ages was the time of the most. All right, name a historical figure from European times. Name anybody famous from those times, the classical period of Europe. Think of any movies that was made about that time period.
Caesar.
Okay, Caesar was way before that. Caesar was like shortly after Christ. That's damn near ancient times, right? And even with Caesar Caesar was in a little ass boot part of Italy.
Oh, for real?
They make it seem like the reign of the Caesars was all worldwide. Them niggas was in a boot part of Italy, right? These are the people that I'm thinking about when I think of classical Europe, right?
Right.
I think about Beethoven.
Okay.
Black.
Right.
I think about Mozart. Black. I think about Shakespeare. Black. I think about Braveheart. William Wallace. Black. All of them people was black during that time. The time of the Knights of the Crusades, the time of the Crusades when they was going to fighting wars over the Holy Land, them people was black. Them was black knights. Them black knights fighting Muslims in the Holy Land. Them people was black during that time period. The revival. I know. Hold up. Here's how the Renaissance came about. Where does the word slave come from?
I believe the Slavic people.
Slavic. Who are the Slavic people?
I don't know. Those are white people, right?
White people from out of the Baltic Sea area. There was a time when black people was ruling in Europe and Muslims was in charge. All the slaves were coming from the areas where white people were. They were capturing slaves in all of them white lands where white people were. They were capturing them, making them slaves and shipping them around to serve in different places. The problem is they got white slaves into Europe and then started having sex with them. Got white slaves in Europe and then started making sure that they wasn't following the cleanliness practices. The bubonic plague and all of that shit came from white dirty slaves sleeping with rats and not bathing and not, cleaning themselves, and then diseases spread.
Right.
Those diseases spread among the people that was having sex with these filthy bastards. And that bubonic plague, when they say it killed 3/4 of Europe, it killed off a lot of people because that is what happens when white people show up.
Right.
The same thing happened over here in North America. Mm-hmm. What happened when white people came in contact with those folks? They died. Right. Because the white people brought all kinds of diseases. Right. They don't tell you that they don't tell you that in school. They don't tell you the bubonic plague was brought about by the slaves, the white people that was introduced to those lands and those areas at that time. They brought diseases with them that the people that were living there were not used to, and it wiped out all the people that was living there. That is what preceded the Renaissance period. That's how the white people gained their power back and rose back to prominence. Right. Through their enslavement and being brought into those areas where black people were in rulership. They started having sex with the slaves and dealing with the slave women, the slave men, and all the diseases of the white slaves, the Slavic people, is what killed them all. You understand? So, Sister asks, is that why some people call the Arabs easy? When you say that, I don't know what you mean, sis. When they Arabs, they call the Arabs easy. Let me know what you mean by that. But no, the term slave comes from the Slavic people because that's how synonymous white was with slavery. During those days, the Dark Ages, you was white, you was a slave, and you were not. They were not skilled. They were not educated. They were not, they weren't craftsmen and artisans. They was pick these boxes up and they were the grunt work people.
Right.
And through disease and famine and, all the things that come along with white people being introduced to a society, they were able to find a way to build themselves up. Gotcha. You understand? Yeah. Now, the Renaissance period was brought about by white nobility, right? And the Roman Catholic Church. The Roman Catholic Church, as they began to reestablish their influence and their dominance in Europe, right? The only way that they were able to bring in the doctrine of Christianity was to stomp out all the other religious ideas that were in Europe at that time. Right. And that is how the Spanish Inquisition, white supremacy, began to spread throughout Europe under the guise of the Roman Catholic Church, under the guise of Roman Catholicism. Roman Catholicism was the birth of white supremacy. There was a time when, again, being white was synonymous with slavery.
Right.
But under the Roman Catholic Church is where whiteness became clean and good. You understand? Under the Roman Catholic Church in the Renaissance is when Jesus became a white man. Jesus became Caesar Borgia. You understand? And all of that re-influencing. Basically, the Renaissance period was the rebirth of white supremacy, of white power. And in order for there to be white power, there had to be an erasure of black power.
Gotcha.
And so the way that black power was erased in Europe was through things like the Spanish Inquisition, rounding up Jews, rounding up Arabs, and forcing them to convert to Catholicism, forcing them to accept the doctrine of the Trinity and the Immaculate Conception and all of those ideas. That was the force that caused white supremacy to reign over Europe. And the only people that would stand in opposition to it were the staunch Jews and the staunch Muslims who wouldn't turn their back on their gods. You understand? A lot of those staunch Jews and staunch Muslims, the ones that weren't killed, they were chased out of Europe into Africa. They fled their power structures in Europe, and they fled south into Africa. You understand? And even in places like Libya, places like Algeria, and Morocco, and all of those kind of places, there was a lot of wealthy, noble black people, and a lot of their wealth and nobility came from them while they had power in Europe. But that part of North African history, West African history, isn't talked about.
Right.
The influx of royalty and wealth that came from Europe into Africa during the days of the Spanish Inquisition. During the time when white supremacy was being reestablished in Europe, there was a huge influx of wealth and people coming into Africa.
Right.
Come on with it.
So damn, did the Africans do the same thing then to us when we got to North Africa?
So okay,
when they sold us off?
This is what's important. Don't think us.
Okay.
It's important not to think, when we talk about the dark ages of Europe, right? Don't think us.
Okay, so it's just black.
A ton of dark-skinned motherfuckers is there. Excuse my language. It's a ton of different dark-skinned people. Some of them Arab, some of them Muslim, some of them Christians, some of them Jews, right. Some of them no belief system, some of them, but they all dark-skinned.
Right, gotcha.
That's the time of the Moors is what I'm speaking of, right? The Moors is just a term that means black. But the Moors is not a nationality. It's not a race of people.
Right.
Israelite is a nationality, is a race. Right. Moroccan is a nationality, is a race. Spaniard is a nationality, is a race. The people that left Europe, the dark-skinned people that left Europe and fled into Africa, weren't necessarily one thing or another.
Right.
What we do know is that when the people that were in Africa, when the Europeans came for slaves, the people in Africa said, we got somebody here that we don't want. We'll sell them to you. Those raiding parties went and those white people made deals with those Africans. There were wars that were fought in Africa that history never tells you about.
Right.
There were West African wars fought where the losers were sold into slavery. What war was that? What war was fought? You see a movie like Roots, right? Roots will make you think it was just a bunch of people in bushes.
Yeah.
And one group of bush people came to get another group of bush people. That ain't what happened. It was wars in Africa where the white man came to one group of people and said, hey, them folks that been ruling over y'all, that's been doing y'all dirty, we'll give you guns. We'll give you money. You go capture them and round them up. We'll help you win your war. We'll help you win your fight. Right. There was fights and battles that happened in Africa that resulted in people getting put on slave ships. They don't tell you about those battles. They don't tell you about those wars. They won't tell you what two sides were fighting in those conflicts. Yes. But that is the history of our people being defeated and being sold into slavery. You understand?
Hold on, sir.
Come on with it.
Like, is that the same? That's kind of, I was watching, you ever seen the show Shaka Zulu?
Yeah.
He was doing that, you know how they was going around. They made him like, of course, he became like a damn near demigod after the fight all the wars and stuff.
Yeah.
But the white people came to them, and I think they had shot a cannon for the first time. The people over there had never seen it, and they called it like black magic. But then they started getting with the other African tribes, helping them win against the other people. So that was kind of
that's exactly what happened. The white man
was trying to make it seem like it was just Africans only.
No, and that's okay. Here's what's heavy. There's a large part of the history of the enslavement of blacks in America that doesn't go talked about. But you can go look this up. This is in the history records in the books, right? When the white man first started coming over here to America, North America, even you can go even into South America and in the Caribbean islands as well, right? The white man wasn't just killing and conquering native people. The native people in here in America were so entrenched in this land, and it was so many of us that the white man could not conquer us. Right. They could not have come here with guns and with ammo and just took over. What the white man did was came here and presented himself as traders. We just here to trade, man. We just trying to get some of them deer skins and get some of that wolf skin and bear skins, and we'll give you whatever y'all need. We'll give you fish. We'll give you guns. We'll give you horses, whatever you need. The white man started off as a trader, meaning he's doing trading goods.
Right.
Gets to the point where the white man started to understand all of these people living here aren't united. This territory is owned by this tribe. That territory is owned by that. This territory is owned by this tribe. Yeah. Well, we'll give this tribe guns and tell them, if you go defeat your enemies, sell them to us as slaves, and we'll let you, and then let us take over the land. So the white man started out doing deals with the natives, giving them guns, causing conflicts, causing them to fight one another. And as they're fighting each other, the white man is taking the losers, putting them in slavery. Then once the losers are in captivity, now you've dwindled your numbers down fighting a war against your own people.
Yeah.
Now we enough of us till we conquer you too. And here's what the white man was doing, Barack. When they started reclassifying the identities of Native Americans, right? The white man was taking the prisoners of these native wars that these natives were fighting against each other. If you lived in Virginia and your tribe got conquered, right, and you got sold into slavery, the white man will put you on a boat in Virginia and sail you down the Atlantic to South Carolina, and you get off the boat in South Carolina, you're an African. Because you coming off of a boat, you're an African. And you being sold at the port of Charleston into captivity, into Alabama, into Georgia. But your family is from Virginia.
Right.
You don't even know that you've been reclassified, and you don't even know that you're really maybe 100 miles from home. If you go look at the transatlantic slave trade records, right, the records of the boats, and you go look at the demographics of the number of slaves counted from one census to the next, the number of slaves that are present in America does not match up with the number of niggas that was getting off of boats. Where the fuck did all of these African slaves come from if y'all wasn't bringing them off the boats? They was coming from the wars that the white man was promoting to be fought amongst the natives. They capturing Native Americans, putting them on boats and sailing them an hour down the river, and they getting off the boat because they was on the boat, they African now. So when you talk to black people and you talk to them and they say, my grandmama, mama and them said that we was Indian, they wasn't lying to you. Your grandmama and them folks never saw Africa. Never was living in Africa, no nothing about no African bush or no none of that shit.
Right.
They never was there. They always was here. The niggas that's here now always was here. Wasn't never in Africa. You just got captured, put on a boat. Because you got put on a boat, you got off that boat and you was in Africa. Come on with it.
So is that where the Aboriginal Negroes come from? Like they were like, we was all in slavery.
Yes.
We
right
never had
now,
to get on boats.
Right now, there's a lot of niggas that's learning. We never was on no boats. We wasn't on them boats, huh? You understand? But again, the white man is the devil, and he knows what he's doing. Now, a lot of people was on them boats,
Right.
but not the niggas that's up here. Nah, a lot of the North American, a lot of the history. This is what I'm gonna say. A lot of the history that we was taught about slavery in North America, they've hidden a lot of shit. The same way they hid the details of the Spanish Inquisition, they hid the details of the identity of the people that they was putting in slavery. The Trail of Tears and all of that was done to wipe out the recollection and the remembrance of those people that they always was here.
Right.
This was their land. They always was here. They never came from no Africa. During the days of abolition movements and the early days of the, fighting against slavery, the white man tried to create organizations to send niggas back to Africa.
Yeah.
Them niggas was not going because they knew they wasn't from Africa.
Right.
Why would I leave America? My family been here forever.
Yeah.
I'm not leaving this place.
Yeah.
The white man started passing laws and making up new rules. If you got one drop of African blood, you African. One, if you black, you black. But when did Native Indian black turn into African black? Then they started making, if you got 1% of white in you, then you're Native American. Now the Native Americans that's light skinned, they being called white. Now the Europeans that's white being called Native Americans. And they just took them people whole identities from them. You understand? And the evil of it is in all of this, and the way that our oppressor twists and contorts history, all of it is done in a way to make him blameless, to make him seem like he didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah. The white man will never hold himself accountable for the genocide that they committed against Native American Indians, because they'll tell you that they were helping those people.
Right.
They'll tell you that those people were savages and was running around butt naked and didn't have no knowledge of anything, when that is a lie. Right. There's archaeological evidence that shows that the 500 nations of Native Indians that was living here in North America, they could read and write. They had written language. They spoke Hebrew. All of the artifacts that get found, the white man tries to find a way to say it's a hoax. Tries to find a way to say it's not real. Tries to find a way to debunk it, because God forbid they tell the truth and acknowledge, we knew these people could read and write.
Right.
We knew these people had written language. We knew these people could speak in Hebrew. We knew these people had the ancient Phoenician writing.
Right.
Because then the question is, well, who were these people? And why were you in such a rush to erase their history? And so that they could hold themselves blameless. But the whole time, they've been the most diabolical, thieving, murderous criminals that the earth has ever seen in any generation. You understand? Now let's get into some scriptures. I done talked for a whole hour and 3 minutes. Ain't pulled one Bible verse. But come on, come on with it, bro.
This the history is heavy.
It is not Most High Christ. Come on with it.
I'm literally just now finding out about they had used LiDAR. And they was running like the scans over like what's the jungles down in
Amazon forest.
Yeah, so they said that a lot of that stuff was put there by the Native Indians. It didn't even look like that, but
the Amazon
soil was even different.
The Amazon rainforest is a man-made garden.
Yeah,
the giant Amazon forest is a man-made garden. That whole area, the vastness of the Amazon rainforest, those trees were planted there, which means there was a civilization that had a knowledge of the earth and science and agriculture to where they could mass produce a garden. Then it make hold on. Now this is the way it go deep. What did God tell Adam to do when he gave Adam the breath of life?
Make a garden.
He told him he taught him how to set the earth in order.
Right, live off the land.
How to live off the land, to make it yield its fruit and all of that. Yeah. The knowledge and the understanding. When you go read the stories of the conquistadors, the Spaniards that first came to America, right? Mm-hmm. Mexico City was a giant city that floated on water. All of Mexico City, which is one of the biggest cities in North America today, you go look at maps of old Mexico City, and it was a city that sat on 7 giant canals, meaning you looking at the city from on top of a hill, right?
Right.
You saw 7 giant squares of water. And in between those giant squares of water is land where there were gardens and they was growing this and growing that. And they had a knowledge of moving, I forget what they call it, the system. They had so many aqueducts and canals that they was able to, the city floated. And they wanted to drain one area to make the land rise and make it passable for you to walk on. Then they flooded again, and they flooded again, so you couldn't pass again. Like they had a system in place of if you wanted to get from the outside of the city to the middle, they had to drain some shit so you could walk over on dry land. Then they would let the water back and flood it so you couldn't cross again.
They do that now with large ships.
They do it.
When they got to cross over, they'll put one wall.
Well, imagine a whole city, giant city that runs like that, but at a smaller scale, where it's people walking across, or it's little boats getting from this one place to that place. Right. They had that knowledge back then. They had that. That was the city was built that way. They said Mexico City was the most beautiful city they'd ever seen. Clean and fertile and fresh crops and fruits and vegetables, everything you could imagine and want. The people had it right there. Then the white man's such a liar, he'll tell you that in Mexico City, they had a city like that, right?
Right.
And that those people living there, and the villages around there, and all of the boating and shipping architecture and technology they had, they didn't travel 75 miles down the damn land into where the Incan territory was at. They'll tell you these people never had nothing to do with each other. They never met, never knew each other, didn't speak to each other. How, motherfucker? How? When they 75 miles away. Right now, the white man is revealing that the Amazon rainforest is a man-made garden. These niggas, you ain't tell me they could travel 1,000 miles in the Amazon to plant a garden in the middle of the continent, but the niggas living in Mexico never went and visited the niggas in Guatemala.
Right.
I gotta be a fucking idiot. Yeah. Not only that, hold up. The niggas in Mexico never visited the niggas in Florida. Right. The niggas in Louisiana never came down and visited the niggas in Guatemala. You mean the whole Gulf of Mexico? The niggas never went to the Caribbean islands? You out of your mind. Right. See, but the white man got to lie about everything so that you can piece none of this shit together. Because God forbid we get to actually thinking, like right now we've been talking for about 1 hour and 7 minutes. We done pieced together a whole lot of shit.
Right.
With that, now I got resources on all of this. I could go into the science of it. I can pull up articles and books. I just, for the sake of teaching the truth of the Lord, is not necessary. Right? Like these classes. But I could do a whole 3-hour class on the re-identification of Native Indians to Africans. I could teach a class on that. I can show you books and I got pages and passages and tons of sources to prove that the white man took Native Indians that lost battles, was sold to them by other Native Indians, put them on boats in Virginia, sailed them down to South Carolina, and when they got off the boats, they were Africans. Reclassified. And the numbers of black people in America goes from, 200,000 in South Carolina in 1840 to 1870, it's 5 million. How the fuck you get from 200,000 to 5 million when off the boats, the records off the boats, maybe 300,000 niggas came off the boats. Right. So in 25 years, it was 200,000 black people here. 300,000 got off the boats from Africa. But now it's 5 million of them?
Right.
What the fuck? How? Where them niggas come from? Them niggas was already here. They just wasn't being called black.
Right.
They were Native Indians.
Right.
Now they reclassified as African, and there's 5 million of them. And these niggas never none the wiser. Didn't understand the white man reclassifying us.
Right.
Think about all the times you grew up arguing with somebody about you having Indian in your family. Nigga, you ain't got no Indian, you black. Not knowing that's the same thing, dumbass. Indian and black is the same thing. But that's the white man for you. Then he had you go to in 2025 on your job application, black. And you identify as black, you can identify as Native Indian. Like, that's how diabolical this man is. Then you think of all of the, you think of the Afro-American and all these different terms, colored, and all this confusion over the years, to where we'll argue over whether we black, African-American, Negro, Pan-African, not realizing the white man creates a myriad of, he creates a maze of confusion for you to never find your way to the truth. But the truth is right there. You understand? So let's get some scriptures on this monster being the blameless criminal. Everybody understand? Let's get see something. Give me hold on. Get Zechariah 11:5. This is the truth about our oppressor in this land called America. All right. And this is what we must know about their mindset towards us and their dealings with us. Zechariah chapter 11, verse 4 says, "Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter." Who's the flock of the slaughter? Us. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the flock of the Lord. Why are we the flock of the slaughter? Verse 5, "Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty." That's our oppressor. That's the white man in 2025. They possess us, but they hold themselves not guilty. They are not accountable for the horrors that are committed against us. They do evil, unimaginably evil things to us, and they say not guilty. They celebrate Columbus Day and say Columbus founded America, totally disregarding the thousands and millions of people that lived here when Columbus arrived. Right. They'll disregard the evil of Columbus's doings on this land because they'll say Columbus brought Jesus to them folks, which is also a lie. And the people knew about the Bible. The people knew about Jesus, God, and all of that. There's a book called Star in the East, written by a man named Elias Boudinot. And Elias Boudinot spent time with some tribes of Native Indians up in like the Pittsburgh area, Pennsylvania area, up there in the Ohio River Valley. And they told him that the book that you have, we had it already. But we turned our back on the God of the book and didn't do what he said to do. And so now we've lost our glory and our honor, lost our connection to that power. And now here you are to punish us for it. And Star in the East, written by Elias Boudinot, he said that that's the account that a native gave to him when he tried to teach them about Christianity. He said, man, we know about that book already. That was our book. But we didn't do what we were supposed to do. We didn't obey our God. And now we've been cut off from our connection to him. And he's going to punish us for the evil of our doings. You understand? The white man holds himself not guilty because he looks at our suffering like we caused it. We brought it on ourselves. You understand? Reading on. "And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. and their own shepherds pity them not. There are people among us that know the truth, that know who we are, and they don't pity us at all because they just trying to get rich. It's always been that way. The reality we have to also face about our history is that there have been sellouts in every generation of our people on the earth. Don't think that all of the Native Indians was all wonderful and good. Nah, it was some super sellout niggas. It was some evil niggas that turned their back on the Lord. They was, they was erecting totem poles and worshiping gods and worshiping nature and doing all manner of foul things against the Lord, which is why we suffered the way we did. Right. The lesson that we should learn from the history of our people in this land is that we did not obey the Lord. And when you don't obey the Lord, there's consequences and there's repercussions. Everybody understand? Let me get hold on. Get John chapter 10, verse 10. John chapter 10, verse 10 says, "The thief comes not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy." The thief is the white man. The thief is the oppressor. The thief is the adversary. And he comes to do a job, guess what? He does it. Everybody understands? I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. You understand? Christ came so that we could have life. How do we have life? You got to learn the truth. What does the truth do for you? The truth will set you free. Set you free from what? Set you free from all the lies. Set you free from all the indoctrination. Set you free from the idea that you just a nigga. That you're just a wetback. That you're just a savage. That you are people that have no history. When you learn the truth about who you are and who the Most High called you to be, now you have to step into that. Now you have to live up to the standard that's been established. Everybody understands? Salaki. I got more scriptures. I think I'm going to pick up this tomorrow. Finish with this topic, or I might go on to something else, but let's go ahead and clip it there. All right, clap it up. With the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, since 1969. We've been teaching so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians the truth according to the Bible. What is the truth? The truth is that so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians descend from the greatest people that have ever walked the face of the earth. The Bible identifies us as the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And in the year 2025, there's nothing more important than for God's chosen people to learn the truth of who we are, where we come from, and what our purpose is on the earth. All you brothers and sisters tuning in, if you got family, loved ones, people you care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas, get them in contact with the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Go to ISPK Memphis on Google. Get the school, get the call-in number there. You can call, get any kind of help or assistance you may need. With that, we having a clothing drive this Saturday from 2 to 6 at 3000 Walnut Grove Road. Again, 2 to 6, 3000 Walnut Grove Road. You got people you love, care about in the Memphis, Tennessee, and surrounding areas is in need of anything. Send them to us. Tell them come get the help they need. And with that, I'll see y'all for class tomorrow. Shalom, Israel.